It. Ooh, hot.
I can't find anything to fill in the hole. We're gonna build is gonna bring it along as I work on the 74 C10, and we're gonna put in the insulation and sound deadening material, and we're gonna fix up the dashboard and the door panels, and hopefully fix the seat because the seat needs to be reupholstered. But I'm just gonna cover it. I'll bring you along. Stay tuned. Follow along.
All right. So we're going to use the SoundSkin, the Pro Plus, which is that multi-layer foil foam butyl material, which is going to be really good for like the floor pan and you know, even the back of the cab. But we can use it wherever we want. But I'm going to use this one for the floor pan. I'm going to cut the templates out. We're going to cut this out after we do the templates. The wavy foam, we could use that too. I'll have to figure out the best place to put it because I do want to eventually put speakers in the cab. We're also going to use the heat shield. I'm going to put this on the bulkhead on the firewall, you know, inside the cab, under the dash, you know, kind of that area, because that'll help keep the heat from the engine compartment out of the cab, especially during, you know, hot summer days. We don't want to cook ourselves. And then we also got the classic SoundSkin Classic. This could be good. I think I want to use this on the back side of the cab. So on the back cab behind the seat, this will be perfect. Also could put it on the roof, but the roof, I'm not going to have a headliner on the roof, so I don't know if I'm going to use any of this yet. I'm debating on it. If I put a headliner in, then this could definitely go up on the roof. But we'll see. So let's get this stuff cut out after we get our templates made. So we'll get our template made and we'll go from there. Let me bring you in. I'm going to show you what I'm going to do and how I'm going to try to get these templates mocked up so I can know what to cut for this insulation and stuff. So let's see how we're going to do this. All right, so we're taking this paper, this wrapping paper, butcher paper, whatever. I think maybe it's butcher paper. But taking it, unrolled it out, and then you just lay it as flat as you can on the surface, and then do your flat area, do the outline of the pan, right? You're going to do right along the base of the floor pan before it gets to the curve, you know, for the trans hump, and then the hump on the back part of the cab right here. So you want to make sure you get it as flat as you can. If you know, I had to go up, and you go up to the top where the toe board is, you know, the toe board firewall area, and just do an outline. That way you can take this, we'll cut this out, and we could put this on top of the sound deadening material, and then we'll cut out around it. So pretty easy, right? So we got this one done, and we're going to do that side, and then we'll do this, and then we'll tackle the doors. The door will be easy because you just do one template for the door on one of the doors, and then we can go across, and you can just do this, and it'll be the same for the other one. So pretty easy. You can just use once for that. And then the back of the cab will do, which for the back of the cab, we'll cut out, you know, we'll do a template for this part, and then for the middle part. Because anywhere you put, you know, the sound deadening or the insulation, whenever you hit these turns, you'll get a little bit of, you know, especially when down here on the bottom, you'll get a little a little bit of pinch buckling. But, you know, for this purpose, I'm just going to do a section for each spot, and then maybe the middle portion to come down and then come across. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But we'll put this down because we'll get this done because we already cleaned the surface and we got it all prepped and ready to go. And when you cut your material, make sure you cut it, you give yourself a little bit of just extra because we'll trim it when we lay it down. Don't be like me and be unprepared. You need to be, have the things that you need. So tape would be good because we could tape down the template on top of the sound deadening material. Area done. We can throw this in the truck. So let's get this in the truck and we'll go from there. There we go. It's in the truck. Just kidding. All right, so we got all of this, and it's going to be ready to stick. So you're going to take this white layer off, and you're going to apply it on the, after you do that, you're going to put it down, and then you're going to roll it out. So look, let me show you. So you can see this is now, we got the template, we used the template, we cut it out. Now it fits nice and snug in the floor pan. Let's take this backing off so we can get the sticky side visible, which is that butyl layer. And then we're gonna roll this out on the pan. Unfortunately, it's cold. So this is sticky, but like with butyl stuff, it's always good to have to do it when it's a little bit warm. So we're gonna, I'll get a heat gun. That's the word I was looking for. We'll take a heat gun and we'll just lightly go over the back side of this before we lay it down and roll it, because that'll just help it stick just right. You don't have to do this with a heat gun. It's just something I'm going to do because because it's cold. It just will help it stick a little bit better. Now you can roll this out without the heat gun. You can roll it and apply it with a roller. And when it gets hot, like during the summertime, then it will heat up enough to where it'll actually adhere really well to the material. Which it's going to adhere well as it is, even when it's cold. And you press it. Ooh, hot. That hurt. It's still going to adhere, but just heating it up really makes sure that it sticks to the floor pan. Get it to where you want it, and then you can gently press down to start applying it and getting it to stick. What we're going to do is we're just once we get it to where we like it, and take our roller, we're going to start rolling it out. When you cut out the material, after if you use a pattern, be mindful of your trim that is going to be next to it, because depending on where the trim is, if it's really flush to the floor pan, the kicker panels and things like that, I left a space, which I'll show you, so that when we put the kicker panel back in, the insulation is actually not going to bunch up and bind against it. So we got the material down. We rolled out the driver's side area. And if you notice, it doesn't go all the way up. I have it going down the flat area, the flat surfaces. There's a little bit of curvature, a little bit of a profile like right here, where it starts to curve from the hump where the seat goes. And I didn't have it overhang right here because you're going to have weather stripping going right here. And the carpet is going to go down, tucked down here. So we don't need to have any sound deadening right here, just on the flat profile. If you notice, like I was talking about a minute ago, you're going to leave this side, open. You don't want to have any material butting up against the side right here, the kick panel, because the trim piece, the kick panel cover, will go right here, and we don't want that trim piece to bind up against the insulation on the floor, because then it won't fit right when you go put it back in place. So you just leave a little bit slip right here, and then that way you have room to work with. And then if you look up underneath, so we got it terminating right at the like the toe guard area, at the firewall, and then up here on the firewall is where we're going to put, which is kind of hard to see. The lighting is not that great right now, but then we're going to put insulation, or actually the heat shield, up there, all across the back of the bulkhead.
All right, so got the passenger side, got the driver's side. Now we're going to work on the middle section of the back part of this area and the top part, and then the strip. We're going to do the trans hump last. All right, so I got the insulation put in, the sound deadening insulation material. Got that in the floor pan, in the front, in the back, even back here on that back strip behind the seat. You know what I'm saying? So now I got a couple bare areas. You don't have to cover that up. You can if you want to when you're doing your own sound deadening and insulation on the floor pan. You can cover the whole thing up if you want, but just to keep it from like bunching up and making it easier to smooth it out, and so they don't have any like lumps in the carpet when I put the carpet back down, I might just leave some of those areas just bare. I think it'd be fine. The amount of material that we have laid down will help really keep the noise, rattling, all that. It'll help keep it quiet in the cab, but and that much material too will also help insulate the inside and keep it temperature controlled too. So the next step, we're going to tackle the doors, make a template, so I know what to cut out for the door, because once I make one door, I could just flip the template around and cut out the other piece that I need to put on the other door. That's what I did for the pans. Well, except for the floorboard, or the floor pan, excuse me, for the driver front and passenger front, because those are a little bit different on the truck. But for these back sections, I just had to make one template, and then I flipped it over, and then, you know, made the mirror of the other one to cut out. So I think I'm going to put something down on the back side. So I want to put stuff up here, because if you hear it, it really rattles and resonates and stuff, especially going over bumps. You can hear just banging and noise. So cut out some pieces to put right here, because I think as long as we have it over this, we won't necessarily need it on the center piece, because the back piece right here will help silence and muffle the noise. This I'm not going to worry about, because we're not going to put anything right here. That's just silly. But we'll put it back here, and then if we want to put the carpet, you know, I don't have the carpet, but if I decide to put, like, you know, the carpet that covers the back, it'll cover it up. Also have you know, the seat, which is going to cover it up anyways. You won't really see it. And then in here, put some insulation, actually some sound deadening, some of the classic. I'll do the classic roll all right here in the pillar, because that'll get that nice and quiet. Kick panels, we're not going to touch, because the plastic goes over the kick panels. We'll see. I got to look at that and see how I can make that work. So the plastic for the plastic kick panel cover will go up flush still. And then the roof, maybe. I think the heat shield would be cool to put right there, but if I do want to put a headliner up, it'll take up that space for the headliner. I don't want to do that, so we might hold off on that. We might just keep it nice and bare, because I kind of like the, you know, stamped metal roof. So let's go, and I'll cut out these templates, or at least the template for one, and then cut out what I need. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So six, and then pieces for here. All right, so we got, hopefully you can hear it without the dogs, but there's a big difference. So we'll do a comparison of the old before we put this on here to now after we put it on here. So listen. You hear that? Much quieter. Nice. It does really good. And because it being so thick, it really soaks up all the vibration, you know, that is happening throughout the metal. You know, the foam is helping soften that noise. So I think, like I said, we'll put some classic inside the B pillar down there in that little pocket on each side, and then or maybe even some wavy foam. I don't know, but yeah, some classic, and then the doors. All right, so I did put some sound deadening insulation material in the doors. Not really sure if I'm going to do a template for this, because the amount of like dips and things in all these holes, you know, for the trim or for the door panel, and then for the clips, as well as, you know, the bolts for the window regulator and all that. I don't want to cover that up with sound deadening or insulating material. So I took strips. I put 2 strips on the door side, on the skin, on the back side right here, and then also took a strip and put alongside the bottom right here going down. It's hard to get your hand in there, right? There's not a lot of room. But with that, just listen, hold on. Make sure I get this screw out because it rattles. But this did make a it was very loud, very like hollow. So it's not as bad as it was. So this will help quieten the door down, you know, any rattling and stuff, especially on the outside part of the door, because it's just it's thin metal and then it's a hollow space. So any vibration and stuff, it echoes a lot. But now with the sounding material on the door, it doesn't have to be covered all the way, but there's enough to help cancel out the frequency, the vibration. What we're going to do now, I think, is when we do the door panels and we get those fixed up, we'll take the wavy foam, and we're going to put the wavy foam on the backside here, like right here, maybe have a strip right here, and then we'll take some foam tape. We can put foam tape right here around the perimeter where this spot's at. And I think with that foam, wavy foam right here, and then what we did at the door panels, it's really going to make a difference as far as keeping the inside of the cab quiet and, you know, somewhat insulate. There's not a lot of, I didn't do the whole door, so it's not going to be fully insulated, but the wavy foam and all that stuff, that'll help. But we got most of the insulation right here. So I think that's what we're going to do. We'll get those door panels fixed up and then come back. All right, let's see what we can do with this dash pad, because we got this little spot that I got to fix that I just did it really quick. So we can fix this up. I'm gonna take this tape off. Let me show you what I'm working with on this dash pad. Oh, big old gaping hole, which yeah. So this is why I used tape over it, because it just looked horrible. And I didn't want to have a big gaping hole. Oh no, the paint is stuck. And the tape. My brain doesn't work good this morning. It's early, guys and gals. Got a cup of coffee, but it's like 10 degrees in the shop and I have no heat. So all the blood's being directed to the places that are more important. Brain, I guess, isn't one of them. All right, so we got the dash pad, and this is where the speaker, would go underneath, and normally you'd have a cover here with perforated holes, and oh look, and that broke. I really just don't want to deal with having to buy a new dash pad. I could get a new cover, like a replacement cover to put over it. You'd have to skin, the shell. That's a lot of work too, and I don't have the time to do that. Or I could get one of those covers, the other type of covers that are just the overlay. You just put it over top, and it kind of, instead of the carpet material, it'll just be one of those, the overlays that go over the dash pad to make it look newish. And could do that. Those aren't very expensive compared to getting a brand new dash pad, because a brand new dash pad is like $400, and they don't fit right. Usually, most of all the aftermarket ones that I've seen they don't fit correctly around the bezel, and usually the bottom corners will like stick out some and things like that. But this one, this is the true OEM one, and I'd rather stick with this than get a replacement. So let's see what we can do with this. I'm not sure. We'll see. Just bear with me. All right, I'm in a bit of a dilemma because I can't find anything to fill in the hole. You guys, we can always find the right thing to fill holes, if you know what I mean. But for this hole, I don't have anything that I could put right here. I was thinking if I get one of those speakers with, the cover on it, for when I put it in the dash, maybe I could cut this out and the speaker cover would kind of stick out some, but that would look weird. Maybe I cut these, and then the speaker would sit kind of protrude from the hole a bit. But the speaker, if you look, the speakers that go in there, this kind, and that's slightly wider, slightly bigger than the hole itself, and the cover would not fit. Or I could just cover this completely with something, paint over it, kind of like I did with tape, but not tape. And I could like actually permanently put something there. But then again, I'm gonna have a speaker under there. I would like to have a speaker under there because that's where a speaker goes. And it would go there, and if I had this covered, then the sound would be muffled. So I don't know, unless that maybe a 3D printer. I don't have a 3D printer to print like a cover to go over this, because that would be handy. Maybe that's what I do. Maybe I can get a 3D printer and print a cover piece that's this dimension, that's got the holes, and then put that over it. I think that might work. I just, doing this cheap way, the cheapest way I can. And you guys should, understand, if you've been pitching pennies, crap's expensive now. Car parts, food, everything. So just do what you can with what you got and make the best of it. That's what I try to do, especially with this truck. Yeah, I kind of had to bite the bullet and go into debt a little, but who doesn't? So, but let's see what we can do. I might just fix it up, like I said, 3D print something to put inside here. We'll see. All right, we got one of the door panels. This is the passenger side. These things were rough, like doggy rough. And I did the best thing I could with the sandpaper that I had, which I only had, I think, 80 grit, and I should have used like 120, 200 grit, something like that. There's sanding marks, right? Because I originally just sanded it down and I just sprayed it with spray paint. And I didn't use the right kind of paint, the SEM paint or the good interior trim paint. I used the cheaper stuff, which it still works. The Duplicolor, vinyl, and fabric paint. Not knocking them. It turned out okay using that paint, but it could have been better. So I wanna repaint these, but I'm also just not a fan of this year door panel because of this stuff right here. It's just tacky. I like the 80 model year door panels that have the flat piece right here and the trim that you can put across, that goes across the top. Those look nice. I think those look a lot better. If I could find some of those on Facebook, then I would get those. Those are hard to come by. But we got to work with what we got. So we're going to just fix these up. We're going to use the right stuff. The SEM paint. We're going to use primer and the texture to put across here, so it kind of matches the factory, or the original texture of when these were molded. And then we're going to paint them black on black on black. So we're going to do that. The other one, the driver's side. The driver's side is a little bit worse. We've got to do a little bit of plastic surgery, which I already did plastic surgery on it, but let me go get it and I'll show you what you can talk about. It's so bad right here. You see that? Look, just look at it. You see how bad that is? That's my handiwork. Using soldering iron and to melt this plastic back, because it cracked, because it's old and brittle, and I need to fill it in with filler. I mean, the backside is, you can still see where it's cracked. I need to put some epoxy on the back end of this, maybe. I don't know. Yeah, it's seen a lot better days. I need to get new felt for the window piece up here. The doors actually need to be, I need to get new rubber for the doors anyway, but we'll do that later. But yeah, so these are much better days. I need to find clips, which I get those at the parts store, and fix this. So we're gonna do the same thing with this one. Sand it down, primer it, or fix this, put some filler in here of some kind, sand it, primer, texture coat, and then blast it with black. But it's also very cold in here, and I don't have the paint yet, so we'll come back here in a bit, so stay tuned. We'll do like a little, I don't know what. We'll do something while you sit and wait.
And now a word from our sponsor. Hey there, you! Is your car knocking, ticking, squealing, or mysteriously screaming in pain?
Yeah.
Introducing Universal Fix-It Fluid, the one fluid guaranteed to fix engines, transmissions, power steering, check engine lights, emotional damage.
Leaks and smokes real bad. Just pour it in you, broke ass dad.
Just pour it wherever there's a hole. Don't know what it is? Neither do we.
Hey, it stopped.
That means it's working. Side effects may include engine seizure, unexpected horsepower, divorce, your kid learning new swear words, and thinking you're a mechanic. Scientifically engineered using used oil, leftover brake fluid, a splash of hope, and whatever was on sale. Universal Fix-It Fluid, because proper repairs cost money. Available nowhere. Use at your own risk.